Good evening and welcome back to the Radical Race Series Round 5, live from Watkins, Glen, and bringing you all the action in this evening is myself, James Parfitt, and Ewan O'Leary, broadcast live on the JPB YouTube channel and the Radical Race Series YouTube channel as well, and brought to you, and tonight the simulator will be iRacing, the world's premier simulator. I hope you're all having a wonderful evening. Phil, welcome in. Much love to you as always. Don't forget, guys, to like, subscribe, and turn on the bells for all your notifications of when we go live. Don't forget as well, guys, the charity this season for the Radical Race Series is the Mast Action. Mast activations syndrome affects 1 in 300,000 people and forms a part of a spectrum of mast cell disorders. People with MCAS suffer from inappropriately triggered inflammation leading to a wide range of symptoms, namely anaphylaxis, a life-threatening allergic reaction. MCAS can often take over 5 years to diagnose due to the complexity of the diagnosis procedure. Mast Action aims to reduce this by 3 years to just 2, allowing treatment to begin at an early stage. All links can be found down in the YouTube description as well, guys, so please go and check that out. That would be absolutely amazing. We are here at Watkins, Glen with the bus stop for 13 laps of absolutely epic racing. Then we head into Mid-Ohio Full Course next week with the Fuji GP on the 27th round in October. Road America Full Course on the 3rd, then Monza GP on the 10th, Motorsports on the 17th of November, then Parfitt on the 24th, and then we round out at the Nordschleife on the 1st of December, guys, as well. So make sure you have got all of these dates in your diary because it's going to be an absolute epic evening of racing. So let's bring in Ewan into the booth. Ewan, good evening, young sir. How are you?
Good evening, doing very well once again. Looking forward to another race in this Radical Race Series that is getting very interesting indeed. Possibly a little bit of an anticlimactic finish to the Le Mans race last week, unfortunately, but expecting some good racing here tonight. As we see here, we're starting to get some real contenders for this championship now. We're starting to get an order established. And you mentioned it just there a couple of moments ago. The bus stop chicane is included in this layout of Watkins Glen. That has been the talking point throughout the week so far. Getting through there 13 times doesn't sound very difficult, but that's going to be the real challenge for the drivers today.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see the current championship standings are on your screen. Mike Bousson is leading the way on 140 points. Simon Edwards on 135 with Paul Crabb on 119. Ben Underdown on 101. Luke Maxwell on 87. Michael LeMay on 77. Oliver Ettridge on 76. Paul Clark on 74. Then we go into 9th place with Jamie Bird on 69. Damien G is on 68. Austin Gretorix on 62, tied with Paul LeMay for 11th and 12th. David Rollison 61. Colin Wynn on 60. Phil Glover 46. Martina Ward is on 45. Graham Brown on 44. And Dominic Lang Webb is currently down in on 38 in 18th. Phil Jocelyn in 19th on 32. Scott Lear in 20th on 28. Dave Dawson 27. John McCutcheon 26. Dan Webster 25. James Child 23, Steph Brown 21, Graham Brown 19, tied with Richard Brown, and Darryl Taylor bringing out the rear on 14 points. Now we are there with 33 seconds left of practice. Last week at Le Mans, Luke Maxwell took the win overall. Mike Bousson and his consistent second places, should we say. Guess what he did? He took another second place, and Simon Edwards got third. It was a little bit anticlimactical, I suppose, Ewan. I think we were expecting something different, the great charge up through the field from John McCutcheon, and as he started back at the grid. But I think I was expecting a lot more from Le Mans, and it kind of didn't give me what I suppose I'd hoped for.
Yeah, maybe. I think the slipstream wasn't quite as effective as I was expecting, actually, during that race, and that made things pretty difficult, really, to have good racing around there. Also makes me fear a little bit for what we're going to see at Monza as well, because that's the circuit that really does rely on the slipstream, and otherwise, in terms of driving, it's not that entertaining. So hopefully we do see something a little bit different at Monza. But I guess the big story for this round, though, and doubling back off of the last one, is that Simon Edwards, unfortunately, not able to be with us here for this race here this evening. He is unfortunately ill and won't be able to take part, but I'm reliably informed that he is watching, so hello to him at home. But unfortunately not able to take part. Of course, you get free drop rounds now these days in the Radical Race Series, so this will be one of those. And so Simon Edwards won't lose out too much in the championship, even though it will look like it when we bring up the scores next week, pretty much whatever happens, because at this stage in the season we're bringing you the overall totals and not factoring in drop rounds just yet, because it is still the first half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely on that one as well. So the scores will obviously change as they go along, and then we will see who is going out as the eventual winner, hopefully, as well. Colin Wing, good evening, young sir. Why are you not out on the grid? Don't tell me you don't love this circuit as well, young man, because we know how you feel about Le Mans. But there we go, currently into qualifying on board with Graham Brown in that amazing livery that I love so much, the John Player Special livery as well. We've got 8:42 on the clock of lone quali. We are expecting the times to start coming in thick and fast, guys, as well. So very, very shortly we'll start seeing times once they start going round after their outlaps, and then they will be bringing up. So I think from what we saw last week, Ewan, to what we're seeing now, I'm expecting a kind of almost a lot better race, because Watkins Glen does lend itself to some good racing. That charge up through the S's, up into the, the long straight before we go into the bus stop. Now, bus stop, it's a different entity, because these cars are kind of not, I suppose in a way, not always used to going over the bus stop. It's going to be tricky for these drivers tonight, because they normally hug the right-hand side of the wall very closely to kind of straight line the bus stop. And we'll see if Graham does it here. Basically, he's going to go up now. He's going to try and should bring the car over to the right-hand side and hug that wall as close as they can. But an inch to the left, and they're bouncing up in the air. An inch to the right, and they're hitting a metal barrier. You know what I mean? So they've got to be very careful there this evening.
They certainly do. I think it was Mike Bousson actually who was voicing his concerns most last night when he was putting in the laps and putting in a bit of practice. So that is going to be very difficult. And of course, it's a new scan of Watkins Glen as well, pretty recently. It's not the famous one that we've had for pretty much since our racing's inception back in the day. That was around. We've had a new scan now because there's been a whole resurfacing since that original scan that iRacing made, and there's been a number of changes, like on the outside of this corner right here. You can now use that tarmac on the outside line for better or worse, probably worse, because it is, well, not really in the rules, but you don't get an off track for it, so who's going to, which driver's not going to take that advantage? So yeah, this is a changed circuit for what we've seen in seasons gone past. However, it really is still the bus stop where the action is really going to be, and Graham Brown will be one of those going for pole position. Certainly, he was fastest in practice, and see what his first lap time is here.
No, he's on pole position 1:38.67. I think that's the only thing that confuses me, is that you see on turn one before you can go to the left-hand side of the curve, and you didn't get an off track. But down at the corner they've changed. What was it, down in turn 8 at the hill? You used to get an off track, but now you don't, and it's just not consistent, is it? Because you would have thought, okay, well, they're going to go wide at this corner, it's going to be an off track, and if they're going to go wide at this corner, it should also be an off track. It should be no, yes, yes, no. It's just, it lends itself to so many inconsistencies within the system.
It's not a great system, but I have to say, in real life, the drivers always are running out wide there, and it's never enforced in real life either, so I guess that's consistent in its complete unenforcedness, if that's not a word, but you get the idea.
Unenforcedness.
You get the idea. No race director, whoever race directs a race here, seems to be particularly bothered about it, whether it's virtual or real. So there we go. Which driver is going to say no to taking an opportunity like this? We'll see it again. Graham Brown is going to stay a little bit more civilised this time. You don't want to run too wide, of course. You'll end up in the grass and you'll end up just losing time. You don't want to go wide for going wide's sake. But yeah, it's certainly not a good look. But that's the way it is in real life as well.
Yeah, but I always find when I watch the races here in real life, they're always running wide in turn one, and it doesn't really seem to be enforced in that one. You know what I mean? Regardless whether or not they're doing it in 8, they're also doing it in 1, and I think that's where it's a little bit skew with. But we got Mike Bousson going here with 2 purples and 2 greens, so let's see what Mike can do as he goes across the line. Graham Brown here breaking into the 137.92s at this moment in time. Mike is going to come across the line. Currently still on a 138.03 for Mike Bousson. So no real massive improvement there, unfortunately for him. I think that was actually his first lap out on a 138.03, so that would explain why he was purple, I suppose. But there you go. Graham Brown taking 2 of the 5 sectors. Paul Grab has got the last one, and Mike Bousson has got the middle 2 sector. No, he's just lost that to Graham Brown now. So Graham is clearly in that JBS car, absolutely flying tonight. And I'm sure we're going to see some great racing from him. I don't think pole position is going to be vitally important here, Ewan. I think at the end of the day, they're going to want to try and clear one. That's a shoo-in anyway. They're going to try and want to get through that regardless if they take an off track. The thing they're going to be wanting to look out for is that run up through the S's and onto that backside bus stop. And I think that's where they've got to be a little bit more sensible and defensive, because otherwise, if you leave that inside line free early, somebody's going to jump all over you, and they're going to take that inside line away from you, forcing you to go over to a little bit wider entry into the bus stop that doesn't, should we say, always work out too well for people.
It's not so important to legitimately get pole, I suppose, but
No.
It is important to at least be up there in the first few. And we're certainly seeing that right now with the gaps that we have. Brown has done a 37.6 on pole right now, and Oliver Ettridge, even though he's only 5th position, is 8 tenths away from that right now. So that just show a little bit of a pace differential as there's a couple of laps coming over the line, particularly from Mike Bousson there, who's just got 2 thousandths ahead of Paul Crabb, and guess where he is? It's 2nd place again.
He's
we'll see if he stays there for the race, as he has done in the first 4 races now. It's a record that's getting a bit ridiculous, but there we are. He's up there, and so are many others at this point. Being in the top 5 or 6 is all you need to achieve from this qualifying session, really.
Yeah, I do. In a weird way, I do kind of really feel sorry for Mike. You know what I mean? Consistently second, and he just can't seem to break the duck, can he? And that's where he kind of sits, nestles, qualifies, and ends up. It's so bizarre. It's like he's almost got concrete roots in 2nd place, to be honest. But I'm sure he'll tell me all about it after. I don't doubt whatsoever, as we see Dave Dowson here as well. He's looking at moving up as well. Got 2:05 on the clock. Not exactly setting the timing tower alight currently, Dave. And well, as you can see, plodding along, should we say, quite slowly. Oliver Ettridge has just come across the line still on a 138.38. Did improve on our last lap, not breaking into the top 5, unfortunately. Nowhere near, in fact. So Martina Ward, let's see what she can do. And Graham Brown at 137.6. What do you think then, right? These drivers aren't, they're not official drivers, let's just put it that way. And we're expecting some sensible, clean racing. But we know, done many broadcasts before, that accidents can happen with a very slippery car going up through the S's and onto that back straight. What do you think? Do you think they're going to hold station going up through that part and nobody's going to make crazy moves? Or do you think we're going to see a full banzai Japanese kamikaze pilot?
I don't think we are going to see many people holding back really up the hill. It's just a case of whether everybody can get through there or not while they're at full commitment. I don't think anybody's going to be doing anything stupid, but in the same way, there won't be people backing off either. So it's going to be an interesting one, but it's certainly a real pinch point, especially on iRacing, I find. It's not really a problem on other simulators, and I don't really know why. But on iRacing, it's a complete mess at the top of the hill at Watkins Glen for whatever reason. It's not like the turns 2 and 3 section is particularly difficult. The kink at 4 is not even a corner that you have to think about. The only problem for the drivers is that it's narrow, I suppose, and when there are incidents, there's nowhere to go. But I can't quite put my finger on quite why. On iRacing specifically, there are so many incidents there.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really cannot fully get it on that situation as well. 4 deaths at the bus stop throughout the race. Is that what we're predicting, says Colin Wynn? Maybe Colin's right, maybe he's not. But it should be wide enough to get 2 cars through. But it just doesn't seem to lend itself to that. And it really is quite bizarre. The grid is up, guys, as well. So we will bring you the grid starting off now. Graham Brown is in first place. Mike Buson in second. Paul Crabb in third. Luke Maxwell fourth. Paul LeMay fifth. Oliver Ettridge in sixth. David Rolliston down in seventh. Paul Clark eighth. Martina Ward ninth. Ben Underdown 10th. Scott Lear 11th. And Michael LeMay is down in 12th place. So on below that there, Damien G in 13th, Colin Wynn on 14th, James Child 15th, Seth Brown 16th, Phil Glover 17th, Dave Dowson 18th, and Phil Jocelyn is in 19th place. It's going to be tough for this midfield pack because they're going to want to try and move as fast forward as they can, and they're also going to really find that some of the back guys are going to be picking up their drafts and running fast as well. There's got to be a balance, otherwise we could see a parking lot at the top of the S's. I think that's where I'm kind of going with this. I think they've just got to really be sensible, haven't they? Because if they're not sensible, we're in for a whole world of pain for people, and I just kind of don't want that. I think I don't want to see them wrap it up within turn one.
Absolutely, it would be good to see the race continue on past that point, I suppose. So, yeah, we'll see if they can manage it. Really, not long to go until we can find out. But nearly 20 cars on the grid, nice grid, and John McCutcheon once again starting at the back, by the way. So let's see what he can do.
Here we go, guys. The lights are off, and we're 5 lights, and we're away here at Watkins Glen. What an absolutely barnstorming start. Scott Lear managed to get jumped on there as well. Graham Brown out in front currently with the Mike Buson, Paul Crabb, Luke Maxwell having this absolutely tremendous battle behind them. There's been no incidents. Everybody has made it through cleanly currently at the moment, and everybody now goes racing up to the section that we are expecting to see the main problems. We've got Mike Buson now climbing up behind Graham Brown. He's picking up the draft as much as possible. Let's see them ride through this bus stop, see what they do. Single file. It's single file through the bus stop. All the cars are going round. Nobody really made any silly, brave mistakes there. Phil Jocelyn getting in the mix with Phil Glover and James Child and Dave Dowson. But again, nice and clean, Ewan. Nobody really seemed to struggle, I suppose, at that point.
No, everybody getting through very nicely indeed. It was calm, and everybody's been able to jump over the bus stop chicane pretty well as well. So, yeah, good start for everybody. Single file out front, and now everybody can just settle into a rhythm just that little bit. To try and make their move from where they found themselves right now, as Ben Underdown is trying to do exactly that on the back of Paul Clark. Won't be able to go for it down into turn 8 for now, but yeah, very nice start from everybody.
Yeah, everybody is away and clean, and I do mean away and clean. Dave Waters, looks like some of these subs handle the curbs at the bus stop a lot better than the fixed. That could be also true. The subs, you know, could well be playing a part, but I think from our point of view, the bus stop, as we say, an inch to the left, you're putting the car up in the air, an inch to the right, you're hitting the barrier. So overall, we're just going to have to see how this one pans out. There's a little bit of a gap now between Oliver Ettridge and David Rolliston. It looks like Rollo's lost a little bit of time. As we can see, Paul Clark still under attack from Ben Underdown, and further down the field, James Child is trying to make a move past Phil Glover. So there's a lot going on, and there's little pockets developing as we go into lap 2, and I've got a funny feeling we could hopefully see Mike Buson take his first victory tonight and get out of that second place rut, Ewan. He seems to be holding so well.
He is holding it very well, but in terms of actually making a championship charge at this, it's working out very nicely for him. Obviously, we know that Simon Edwards is only 5 points behind him at the moment, mainly because of his 2 wins, to be honest. That is making up quite a lot of his points tally. That's why he's so close, but obviously he's going to lose some points today. Mike Buson is going to be able to gain, and Paul Crabb already 21 points behind, Ben Underdown 39 points behind already. We're only on round 5, so it's looking pretty good for Mike Buson, in all honesty. Finishing second all the time is not the worst thing in the world, and we did actually hear that from him at the end, or heard it from somebody at least, towards the end of the Le Mans race, that they were thinking just that little bit about the championship, not going for anything silly, as Oliver Ettridge may have just done, or at least he's got involved in an incident down at turn 8, drops well outside the top 10.
Yeah, there's been a couple of incidents I want to pick up on the Oliver Ettridge first here as well, because we'll see what he's going up to down into turn 8. The right, oh, call that one.
Well, just outbroke himself really, and then avoided the driver in front, so as not to rear end them. And then went straight off into the grass himself. So yeah, just a bit of an outbreaking mistake there from Oliver Ettridge. Nothing too major.
Yeah, Martina Ward has also been involved in an incident as well, and so is Seth Brown. We'll have a look first at the Martina Ward incident. That's is that Michael LeMay? I would have. Oh, that's weird. That's all on her own. Goes in, it almost looked like it turned a little bit too much, and she wasn't expecting it to turn that much, and put herself on the curb. So that's unfortunate for Martina Ward. Mike Boussaud still trying to track down Brown, Crabb and Maxwell here are close together currently on the circuit. So we've got 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Paul LeMay kind of on his own, David Rollo on as well, Paul Clark, Ben Underdown, Colin Wynn and Scott Lear. That's where the main action is taking place from about here onwards, and as you can see here on board with Paul Clark, Ben Underdown is behind him as well. Colin Wynn has got the ever-charging Scott Lear right behind him currently as well. Scott in that nice, fabulous green livery, and Colin Wynn in the Moving Matters livery as well. That was a little bit weird from Martina Ward, I'm not going to lie. It looked like it almost turned too much on her, and she bounced the curb and just kind of rode the inside line there, Ewan. I think that was kind of all Martina's doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's turning in too early for a corner is something you see it, but more of a sharper apex. Through that corner there is quite a long apex, a long looping corner. You kind of just move the car through, but unfortunately, just turned in too early and went straight off into the grass. It did look very strange, really, but seems to have recovered all okay and running back at a normal pace again. So it can't have been a technical failure, but just have been a bit turning in a bit too early, and that was that. But at the end of a few laps now, we are starting to see a couple of leaders getting away in the form of Graham Brown and Mike Boussaud. Graham Brown really impressing though in this round, only down in 17th position in the standings after the only 3 races that he's competed in so far, and it's a remarkable performance because, with all respect to him, we very rarely see him in a race-winning position like this.
Yeah, it's a really weird one with Graham, I think, as well, because at the end of the day, as you say, he's only been in 3. And he comes out and he literally, like now, is smashing Watkins Glen to pieces. He's absolutely dominating the circuit. He's not, he's looking comfortable all the way through. Mike Boussaud's got the gap till about half a second. They can't really seem to get it in there as well. And Graham, through this last sector, seems a little bit quicker than Mike. So he does seem to be opening up the gap as well. But you kind of want to sit back and think, well, from Graham Brown's perspective, where kind of almost would he be if he was here a little bit, more often, taking part in more of the rounds apart from the 3 he has done?
Well, that's easier said than done, of course, as well, in terms of actually being up here in the rounds that he's here for. I mean, attending 3 out of 4 so far is not bad, by the way. I mean, even 3 of the rounds will get you a good championship score if you have a consistent season. So that's not too much of a worry, but yeah, it is far easier said than done to be up there every week and be performing like this every week. It's very difficult, especially, I mean, I know that I used to have this when I was a driver. There were definitely days where I could contend for victories, but if I was to be able to do that over a whole season, all the stars would need to align as Luke Maxwell has gone off, and just finds the wall as well.
Yeah, that was down into the bus stop. Sorry there, Ewan, but he just went shooting off behind us. And this is the one coming into the bus stop now. Luke Maxwell is the rear car. Oh, he bounced it. Told you, just that inch to the left, Ewan, and that is what was going to happen. And he bounced that radical, and it looks like possibly Scott Lear and Colin Wynn have had a coming together. Oh no, this is going to be that too wide we're talking about before into the bus stop. Oh, no room at the inn.
Yeah, I mean, on the outside seemed to have just turned in there, almost expecting Colin Wynn to back out of that one. going into the bus stop chicane, which maybe would have been more sensible to do, but even so, you've got to leave you've got to leave space to a car on the inside line. So yeah, I would say car on the outside, very much at fault for that one. But yeah, I mean, it almost seems that going through that bus stop chicane, as these cars ride the curbs, they're almost riding their luck with regards to how that car's going to be spat out. Sometimes it goes well, other times it goes really wrong, and that's what we saw for Luke Maxwell dropping down to 8th place. It doesn't seem that the damage is affecting him too badly, although maybe he is holding him back a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was the thing, you know, we touched on it as well when we said that you've got to be careful. Here comes Buson now on the left-hand side. Can they go through? Buson's going to wrap the job up before they enter into the bus stop, allowed to take his line. That's got Graham Brown now into the hands of Paul Crabb. What could Crabb do as Buson exits out the other side of that bus stop, half a second quicker? Absolutely barnstorming bus stop. And I'm not going to put it on him so early on, but hopefully this could be the one. There we go. So we'll get off him and go over to Ollie Ettridge, who's chasing down Damien G from BSR. Ollie, of course, going down into turn 8. Outbraked himself, locked up the brakes, avoided the car in front, and which was Paul LeMay thing, and unfortunately spun himself round. But he's now on a comeback through the field and currently in 10th place. That bus stop is what we were saying, and as you say, Scott Lear there completely, I feel he should have left a lot more room, if not loads of room, but Graham Brown has unfortunately got Paul Crabb climbing all over him now, and Buson's nearly opened up a second gap, so that kind of worked out for Mike. Didn't it really, going through that bus stop as he had done, because he come out the other side half a second quicker already.
I'm not entirely sure how he got such a good run actually onto that straight before the bus stop chicane, but for whatever, well, he won't really care either, I suppose.
No.
He's got on the lead now, and what is the great thing that's happened, as you say, is that Graham Brown is now under pressure from Paul Crabb immediately, which means he can't put all his effort into staying with Buson and indeed chasing him down now as well. So that's making life pretty tricky, although it's not been a great run up the hill there for Buson, and the gap comes below half a second once again. Maybe we now do have 3 for the lead as they bounce over the curbs. Once again, there's very much 3 contenders here, and Buson has got a long way to go before he can finally get this race win. Yeah,
did you see Graham Brown's little SR10 there? Bounced up into the air, and all I had visions of was Luke Maxwell going off the other side. Maxwell now is under the back of Paul Clark, mind you, and Clark there, Maxwell comes through and takes, is he going to take the inside line down into turn 6? He is, and that's Maxwell through up past Paul Clark. So Damien G has still got Oliver Ettridge climbing all over him as these guys go into the toe.
Currently, nothing doing there. I feel they've settled down. Graham Brown. Oh, Ettridge again. Yeah, just went wide out of the toe of the boot there, turn 7. And he's going to drop down further behind Glover and Wynne maybe as well. But it was just opening the steering too early here. He's on the power on the grass. And he's got a car in front of him there for reference. So it really, there's not really much excuse to be running out wide other than just trying to get the run, of course, onto that straight and making a move at turn 8 maybe. But even so, you can't try and get a run on the grass. And so Ettridge just gets onto there, gets into a spin, and he's made quite a difficult day even harder there.
Yeah, he was just on that. The worst thing as well, we were just saying how well he was doing on the recovery through. So, you know, could be open to that wonderful commentator's curse as Oliver Ettridge now sends it up the inside. Oh, is he going to get that run out of that turn 1 as he's going to be racing up through the exit now?
Buson's off. Buson's off from the lead at the bus stop chicane, and the race lead falls through his fingers. He drops only to 3rd. But let's see what happened. He was possibly trying to break the slipstream from Graham Brown.
Bounced it.
He goes in. He's on that curb, he spins and he hits the wall harder than Maxwell did. Oh, his rear wing's off as well. His rear wing's off as well. Mike Buson's going to lose some points today. It was his chance to gain in the championship with Simon Edwards not here. Well, he's got a rear wing there.
Yeah, I know. That's the weirdest thing.
What's going on here?
I don't know, mate. Well, maybe he's got a stand in. Maybe he's got a button that pushes up one that comes up through the roof, like, you know, James Bond's DB9. Who knows why he's got a rear wing, but there on that replay, the rear wing definitely was not on that car. It went shooting across the ground, and unfortunately it's not there. So whatever's going on the screen currently at the moment, pure trickery. So just ignore it, but you can see he's really struggling here, and I'm expecting him to take that car into the pits. But yeah, there we go. He's taking it in, because clearly what we're seeing and what he's probably seeing are completely different at this moment in time. But Mike Buisson has let slip the lead of the race that he had by nearly a second, bounced the curb at the bus stop, which we have said was never a good idea, and has now put it into the pits. And yeah, Martina Ward is also in the pits, partly due to this one incident. It's the same thing, or was that me?
Well, no, that was trying to make an overtake, I think, for Martina Ward on a very tight line, but didn't seem to have hit the apex really. Hard to say. Yeah, it's turned in a bit early, but yeah, she was never going to hit that apex. Unfortunately, went straight into the side of the car on the outside line. But well, let's find out later whether they lost their rear wing or not, because who knows with all the spares that are going around at the moment. No idea. But yeah, there certainly was an incident there. There's no doubt about that part.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what's happening with the rear wings, mate. We saw it come off. Clearly, iRacing didn't. Colin's got money on his prediction, says David Waters. What did he predict, young sir? Anyway,
4 deaths at the bus stop.
Oh, 4 deaths.
I think that's 3. Is that 3 now? Could be.
So we got Luke Maxwell. We got him himself. Oh! That was Luke Maxwell. Luke Maxwell got a massive tank slapper on, had to hit the brake, and unfortunately that's brought into play Ben Underdown as well. Yeah, so we had Scott Lear and Colin Wynn, Luke Maxwell, Mike Buisson. So we are on 3. Yeah, so
Lots to go though.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So we're looking good.
I don't think Colin really predicted himself in that. You know what I mean? To be a part of that. You know what I mean? I think he was expecting other people. However, that was a really early turn-in from Scott Lear. So you know, there you go. We have got Phil Glover in the waiting room, and currently at the moment I don't really want to bring him in for a chat because he's kind of under attack from Ollie Ettridge. So I think I'm going to let him sort of sit back on this one. Oh, okay. Well, he runs wide in turn 1. So there we go. But I don't think now's a good time as well. So we've got Graham Brown and Paul Crabb right near each other as well. James Child and Michael LeMay through that. Oh, it just goes to show how 1 inch to the wrong side of that bus stop, and that's it. It's over. You know what I mean? And I think that's the delicacies of this car going through that bus stop, because, you know, there wasn't a lot on it. They've all bounced it. But the one bounce for Luke Maxwell, the one bounce for Mike Buisson, and they're in the wall. And it's just insane that I think that 1 little inch of difference from jumping that curb to bouncing that curb, and that's what we've ended up with.
Yeah, it's fine margins, certainly. And yeah, it's spelled the end of, well, not the end of the day for some, but certainly the end of a challenge up front for the likes of Mike Buisson, for example. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very deadly curve indeed, a very deadly section of corners, and it's been providing entertainment so far for us at least. But yeah, it's very, very tricky when you are a driver. But only 3 laps to go now, only 3 more negotiations through that section, especially for the leaders as well, as Graham Brown's going to once again come under pressure from Paul Crabb, who really has a chance to take the championship lead here, very possibly. With this race, he's 21 points behind Mike Buisson right now. I don't know where Buisson is in the order. I think he's about 16th, or 7, maybe lower than that,
16th currently.
16th. So maths will have to be done, but either way, I think Paul Crabb may well take the championship lead on raw points, which of course we're working towards right now. But yeah, I mean that won't be in his head right now. He'll just want this race win.
Yeah, but the Graham Brown's been looking strong throughout this race, and I think that's the thing. And I think, I suppose if you looked at it, it was kind of handed to him because obviously of the fact that Mike Buisson put it in himself out as well. Paul Clark, is chasing down Ben Underdown at the moment. Scott Lear is also having a little bit of a battle with Dave Dowson, down for 14th and 15th place. So that's Scott Lear through on that one. Ben Underdown has got Paul Clark, David Rolliston currently in front of him as well. Rollo's up the order by about 7 tenths. Paul Clark is behind by about 3 tenths currently at the moment on your left-hand side. You can see it. No second for Buson, no Colin Wynn, but then again, no finishing the race for you, young sir. But I do suppose you got your trip to Canada to look forward to, so you know there is a silver lining to this one. However, we are 1 prediction short on the bus stop, but then we do have kind of 2 laps remaining, so he still could potentially get the prediction right of 4 deaths at the bus stop.
Good. Still 2 laps to go to do that. One of these two are trying quite hard to make it come true. Side by side, very nearly between them. Paul Crabb looked towards the outside, went very wide, and actually had to slow down quite a lot through there to make sure that didn't go wrong, and that might well have just done in for him. Let's see over this next lap whether he can get closer again for one last attack, but for now he's too far away. That was deep into the bus stop as well from Dave Rolliston, fighting over the last spot inside the top 5. He has held on though, as meanwhile previously in this group Mike Buson was trying to make up some places, but he's back in again and now he drops to 17.
Yeah, Ollie Atkins is looking at taking the inside line of Scott Lear. We saw this before. Scott, he's going to slam out, he's going to get out the weak exit out of the bus stop. That's going to allow Ollie Atkins round outer loop to see if he can get this run down now into the chute. Can he take that inside line? He's open, the door's open, he's got to get it in. Oh, Ettridge. They're going to come out side by side on this run up into toe. Scott Lear on the left-hand side, Ettridge on the right as they're going around toe now. Here we go. It's going to come out side by side as well. I think Ettridge has got this one done and dusted. Graham Brown has just started the last lap of the race, and Luke Maxwell is trying to climb all over the back of Paul LeMay after his earlier incident there as well. But Maxwell seems to have had a bit of a stronger recovery, and at the moment is flying. I think Paul could be under really bad deep attack here, and I'm hoping, I just want to click the leaders just to make sure that we get through the bus stop for Graham Brown, and then I will have a look back at Paul LeMay. He's got, Paul Crabb's got through, okay, here we go. Right, this is the Paul LeMay, Luke Maxwell battle. This is your battle, the third currently on the standings. Paul, different line there, Ewan. Do you see, we completely missed that inside curve there, just to make sure that he was staying on completely. Ben Underdown is still in front of Paul Clark with Damien G and David Rolliston there as well, but Paul LeMay has now lost it. Luke Maxwell's got up the inside. Final lap of the race, Ewan, and Luke Maxwell's in third.
Yeah, nice move, nice recovery really from his spin earlier on in the race. It's still a podium for the reigning champion, and he is beginning to really come back a little bit in this championship after his first win not so long ago. That's the only top 5 so far this season, so it'll be good to see him on the podium regardless at the end of this one. But race leaders coming towards the line right now. Graham Brown in the final corner.
Yeah, Graham Brown now goes around turn 11. Coming across the line, I've got to be honest, he has drove a stellar race. Brown takes the victory from Paul Crabb in second. Luke Maxwell is a nice recovery back up into third place from Paul LeMay, taking that third on the final lap of the race. Rolliston stayed in front of Underdown with Clark behind as well. Damien G from the VSR. Michael LeMay, James Child coming across the line at the same time. And then we've got Phil Jostling coming over in 11th place. Phil Glover as well is going to be coming through very, very shortly in 12th. Oliver Ettridge there, he's needed 2 recoveries, Ewan. He's had a bit of rotten luck as Ettridge this evening.
Not his best race this season, no doubt about that, but either way he's gotten to the end, and he'll be very glad to see the back of this one, you'd imagine. A couple of drivers feeling the same way right now, you'd expect. Mike Buson will be one of those. He'll make his way to the line just behind Seth Brown, but here's Booson. He will now, on raw points, be tied with Paul Crabb. After Crabb couldn't quite get that race victory, they're now absolutely level with regards to points. Obviously, it's pretty early to tell. The three drop rounds from the first 5 rounds are going to make these standings very weird. But on raw points, the two of them are dead even, with also Simon Edwards to factor into later rounds, as well as the likes of Luke Maxwell as well. Ben Underdown is not too far away in terms of points. We've got a very close championship on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an absolute interesting championship as well, regarding the scores. Graham Brown is taking your victory this evening from Paul Crabb. Luke Maxwell second, Paul LeMay in third, David Rollison in fourth, Ben Underdown in sixth, Paul Clark in seventh, Damien G in eighth, Michael LeMay in ninth, James Child in 10, Phil Jocelyn in 11th, Phil Glover in 12th, Oliver Ettridge down in 13th. Rough night, spun out at the beginning as well, and then he went and did it again further on in the race and put himself down in 13th. Scott Lear involved with Colin Wynn is down in 14th, Dave Dowson 15th, Seth Brown 16th, Mike Buson is 17th, Martina Ward 18th, and Colin Wynn down in 19th place. Okay, so now that was more kind of the racing that I was expecting, and I think, to be honest, we knew the bus stop was going to be tricky. We knew you were either going to bounce or fly. I think that's the only real 2 words we can use for it. Bouncing would put your back end up in the air and bounce across the floor, and then Luke Maxwell went into the wall, as did Mike Buson. And then fly, like Graham Brown, who's gone on and taken the victory. And I think it's how they've managed that that's given them the win tonight, isn't it? Because, you know, Graham did ride the curbs, dropped off towards the end, and I think now that he's kind of got that management, Ewan, almost of the track, and it deservedly so took the victory.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we said at the start that it was going to be about those who deal with it as well as they possibly can. And so no surprise to see that those who did deal with it well have ended up in at 1 and 2. Both Graham Brown and Paul Crabb, to be fair, had pretty clean races. To be fair to the both of them, Graham Brown was just the one who happened to finish first out the two of them. But you saw with the gap of nearly 12 seconds back to Luke Maxwell, that just showed you what a difficult race it was, because it wasn't a long race where those gaps could open up. It was just a difficult one for everybody behind.
Yeah, and we've got the victor in the booth with us this evening, Graham Brown. Congratulations on your victory, young sir.
Cheers, James. Thank you very much.
No worries, mate. How was it? You know, you led for a bit. Mike jumped in, opened up a second gap, caused himself his own problems in the bus stop, and then you went on and took the victory, right? Nice and straightforward, wasn't it?
Kind of, yeah. It's the tyres were going off from about 6 laps in, so it's literally just managing them. And then when I saw Mike in front of me, I thought, right, okay, just keep that 1 second gap. And then basically he done me a big favour. And then it's like, even then at that point on the first left-hander of the bus stop, it was getting really sketchy on those tyres, so I was really taking it gingerly. And then literally 2 laps from the end, I saw Paul make a move, and then I thought, right, stick it in the middle, make it awkward, and then basically he slowed down because of it. And then I just got my foot down, got about second gap, and then just tried to manage the gap from that point.
I think that was the only thing you could do, mate, to be honest, because at the end of the day, as we saw, that bus stop caused some problems. Me and Ewan touched on it before we even started. We said you've got to go 1 inch to the left, you're going to bounce the car. 1 inch to the right, you're in the wall. It needs to be hit dead on for that SR10 to almost fly over the top, which is how we've put it. And I think that was the thing. And there were so many different people taking different lines. Some were going really close, some were going really wide. We saw an incident with Luke, we saw an incident with Mike, we saw an incident with Colin Wynn and Scott Lear in that bus stop as well. And it was just really, I think once you managed that bus stop, Graham, I think you were home free, weren't you, really? Because it was kind of a safety net to know that you can go through it consistently every single time on the same line.
Kind of, yeah. As the tyres was going off, it was getting really sketchy. So it's literally just back your brake marker up, take it a bit slower, and just literally just try to manage the gap. I know Paul was catching me through the bus stop every lap, but it's other than down the straights, it's actually quite difficult to pass on. So I was just making sure I got a good exit, just keep him sort of like half a second behind, and then I knew when it came to the bus stop, I could just make it awkward at that point.
I think that was it, mate, to be honest. I think if you've got a good run up for the S's, putting it in the middle of the track and making it as awkward as possible is probably the best way to be. But Graham, look, you know, absolutely amazing on your race victory this evening. You know, it's giving you a nice big chunk of points. And then we head on to Mid-Ohio Fall Course next week for a 17-lapper of the Mid-Ohio race circuit there as well. So, you know, any thoughts on that one?
None at all. I need to download it first.
Oh, okay. Probably get on that one, mate.
I think I'm gonna need to.
Yeah, but there you go, Graham. Absolutely, congratulations on your victory, mate. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
I've got to give a shout out to the other Graham Brown, who's currently got damaged ribs. So get well soon, Graham.
Oh, poor Graham. Hope you get better there, mate, as well. But Graham, congratulations on your victory, buddy, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Nice one. Cheers, pal. Catch you next week.
All right, we're going to bring in Paul Crabb. Paul, welcome in to the booth. How are you, sir?
I'm good, James. I'm good. How are you doing?
Mate, I'm all right. Not too bad. Just seen an epic race. You know, me and Ewan sat here loving it. Talked about the main talking point of the bus stop that seemed to cause problems. But look, dude, I think that was the thing, right? We touched on it with Graham when we mentioned it pretty much throughout the broadcast. That bus stop was sketchy. It got a little bit worse as the tyres wore out. But it was about managing that bus stop. And I think, you know, you managed it well. You went for a move towards the end, dropped back a little bit as well because of that move. But overall, a consistent second place. And I think consistency was kind of one of the biggest winners this evening.
Yeah. I mean, Graham was his pace was it was really quick. I mean, I was sort of hanging on in his draft, and I managed that one chance. I thought this is the only chance I'm going to get. But he did the clever thing. He went to the inside, so I had to go sort of try around the outside, and I knew it wasn't going to happen. I just wanted to make sure I didn't take him out, so I was quite careful going in. So that was it, and then I lost a bit and was back 0.9, and I never got more than 0.9 closer to them on the last lap because he was so quick around here.
Yeah, he did a stellar job, mate, to be fair, and he openly admitted that towards the end the tyres were going off and he was just kind of parking the bus in the middle of the racetrack going into the bus stop to try and make it as difficult as possible because he knew you were quicker and quicker and quicker. But it doesn't take away from the fact that consistently you were there as well. And you've got on and taken second place. You've got a nice haul of points. Ewan worked out that you were tied with Mike Bousson after this race as well. So all in all, a great night's racing.
Yeah, I was really happy with the result. I've been trying to find a route to the bus stop that doesn't kill me because normally I kill myself there. What I've been doing is I've been taking not too much on the way in, but taking a lot on the second left-hand curb. Of the bus stop, and taking a lot on that second curb pulls you around nicely for the exit. Yeah. Because I find if I get it wrong on the entry, I just get bounced out and into the wall. As
Luke Maxwell did, and Mike Bousson, and Colin Wynne and Scott Lear were involved in their own little incident there as well. So, you know, look, we knew that was going to be the issue, and I think all we can really say is onwards and upwards to next week, bud. Mid-Ohio, any thoughts?
Yeah, I like Mid-Ohio. Yeah, it's good, great track.
Well, if you get on there quick, Graham Brown hasn't even downloaded it yet, mate. So, you know, you'll get some extra more practice. I know, you'll get some extra practice time in. But look, Paul, overall, absolutely amazing job there, buddy. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
A shout out to? Gosh, who would I give a shout out to? Did I give a shout out to Mike Bousson for fixing my pedals recently?
Oh, okay. Fair one.
And also a shout out to him for obviously giving me the second place and at the bus stop. I'm quite grateful for that.
Ouch! Mike watching it back at home, going, "Yeah, Paul, you were lucky." He was the biggest with Mike as well. We were just saying how he might have broken the duck of coming in second, and then he just breaks it completely and comes in 17th. So you know, look, overall, he broke the duck of second place, but unfortunately, he didn't break it by getting the victory. But look, Paul, absolutely amazing job on that second place, buddy, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Okay, thank you, gents.
Take care. Right, and the third place man this evening, Luke Maxwell. Luke, good evening, sir. How are you?
Evening, guys. Yes, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad.
Okay, talk us through it. How did it go for you?
Yeah, I thought. Well, obviously, Graham had the pace tonight, right? He was definitely flying along, and I was thinking, well, if I could just stick with Paul and Mike and Graham and look after the tyres, and maybe I'll push a bit, towards the back end of the race, and then just, stupid mistake in the bus stop, as not the only one, but
No.
There we go. It spanned me around. Luckily, I kept it out of the wall really, and didn't pick up any damage, so I was able to get going again, and the tyres were okay. So yeah, it was just a case of trying to do as well as I could. Really, I was quite pleased in the end to get back up to third, to be honest.
Yeah, that last overtake of Paul LeMay on the last lap can't be sniffed at there, buddy, can it?
No, his tyres were off. He was saying afterwards he was really struggling. So yeah, I was thinking if I can try and I was definitely quicker than him through the bus stop. So if I get through there, quickly and put him under pressure, that was kind of where I was planning to make the move anyway. But he left the door open, and I think he didn't want to battle on at that point.
Yeah, as I say, it's tough on the last lap, though, mate, isn't it? Because it's that indecisiveness of saying, right, do I really want this third place, or do I just want to score points? And I think visually you were quicker, and I think from his point of view, he probably made the right choice if he didn't have a lot of grip coming out of that, where was it, down into turn 6. So, I think that way made the right move for himself, but you kind of made that comeback yourself matter, didn't you? Because after, as you say, the mistake in the bus stop, you did keep it out of the wall, which was good, unlike poor Mike and
poor Mike,
yeah, poor Mike. But you've made that consistency count coming back through the field again.
Yeah, I was quite lucky, to be honest, that I got going fairly well. There was a nice gap to slot into, and 3 guys fairly close together in front of me. So yeah, it was a case of making a nuisance of myself as best as I could. Trying to show that I had a bit of pace, I suppose, and sticking my nose in where it wasn't wanted to make some space. So yeah, I was. It's always good fun, isn't it? When you've lost a bit and you've got to try and push to get back. So yeah, made it actually a really fun race. So can't complain.
Don't you find that if you'd have pushed like that from the beginning, you wouldn't, you might have got a little bit further up? Do you see what I mean? Like that aggressive nature.
It's difficult. Paul was saying at Le Mans the same thing. He was trying to settle in and protect the tyres, and you make a mistake, and it's your race ruined, isn't it? And yeah, it's difficult because certainly from races last season, really pushing too hard too soon and killing the tyres, and then it's definitely a judgment call.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Luke, we go on to Mid-Ohio next week, so look forward to seeing you on track there. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
I'd like to give a shout out to my wife for putting up with me racing as often as I do. So yeah, well done, darling.
Well done, love. I love you. Buy you some flowers and chocolates tomorrow. That's what you said, wasn't it, Luke?
Steady on.
No worries, buddy. Well, there you go. Congratulations on your third place, mate, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
And I just want to bring in Phil Glover into the booth as well. Phil was sat in the waiting room as well. Phil, how are you, sir? Oh, maybe he's not there. Unfortunately for Phil.
Really?
Oh, hello, mate. You're right.
I am, yeah. I don't know what was wrong there.
I don't know, mate. You were muted.
I'm very good.
Go. I didn't bring you in during the race, mate, because every time I looked at you, you were in a battle with somebody, and I thought, well, I don't want to disturb you there, so I'll let you carry on. But overall, mate, not a bad race. Up 5 places, 12th place overall. Got to be happy with that.
Yeah. I kept it on the black stuff, and I don't think I'd made any particular real mistakes, other than there was a couple of people behind me entering into the bus stop, and I kind of backed out and went across grass to let them get away, really. But apart from that, yeah, I was waiting for you to call me in, actually, to be honest. I'd have spoken to you.
Yeah, no, as I say, every time I looked, you were in a battle, and as I said to you, and well, we're looking at getting in Phil, and then next, you got Oliver Etridge climbing all over you, and I thought probably not best at that point, so, I thought I'd let you get on. But overall, mate, an absolutely epic race. We go on to Mid-Ohio. Have you raced at Mid-Ohio before?
I think I have way back in the past. Quite a lot of people haven't, but I have done some on that, and I can't remember whether it was more on race room than iRacing, but Yeah, kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a good one, mate. Well, look forward to seeing you on track next week. And well done on finishing in 12th place.
Yeah, great. I'll look forward to speaking to you next week. Take care.
Take care. Well, there you go, Ewan. Everybody seemed quite upbeat. You know what I mean? I haven't heard from Mike, 'cause Mike normally jumps in and says his little piece, but he hasn't come and joined me this week. So overall, I think everybody was satisfied with their performances this evening, I suppose, at what could be a tricky circuit with that bus stop.
Yeah, I think everybody relatively pleased. I mean, half of them obviously finished 1 and 2 there, having not made a mistake all race, so obviously they're going to be very pleased. And Luke Maxwell didn't seem to be beating himself up too much about that race, which is fair enough. Because it's still good points for him. I think putting it into perspective for him throughout the rest of the season, this is a very good performance as well, because it's only his second top 5 in the 4 races that he's attended. So that's relatively low for a driver that won the whole championship last season. So I think he'll be pleased to get back on track, and we'll see where he can go from next week onwards. But yeah, we're starting up for a great championship, and this round here has just been another twist in the tail.
Yeah, absolutely there as well, guys. So we're going to bring the broadcast to an end. Phil there, I see Barney's remembered to what to do with the white checker flags this week. He was waving them frantically after being at Le Mans and just completely having a night off. Didn't really want to do anything and didn't even put the flags out. So there we go. Martina Ward as well. Public apology to Colin. That was a dumb move from me. I am so sorry. Colin, good. Congrats, Graham. Good drive from Rollo and great driving by Ollie. So there we go. No second place for Buson, absolutely not. But much love to everybody who's joined again. David Walters, thank you so much for joining me as well. And of course, Phil across the pod, thank you as always for jumping in on the broadcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. That rounds it out, I think, from me and Ewan. And as always, guys, from us here up in the booth at JPB. Take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.